How do you feel after that? Because my brain is going zoo, 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 you know? There were serious terminologies there. Your silicone, your VR, your AV. Yo, I felt challenged. I felt extremely challenged. But thank you very much to the panel. Thank you so much, Sanisha, as well, for seeing, you know, potential in a young person and actually giving them a chance. I think politics needs to learn a lesson or two from that. Are we still okay? If you are feeling restless, there are some candies and sweets on your table. So just eat. You know, and endearments are very addictive. And if you are diabetic, you are kind of safe. Wow. All right. No, we can start 2 conferences. I'll wait for yours to end. No problem. So y'all can chat along while the camera is focused on me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, okay, now officially calling it to order. Thank you very much. You're quite energetic after that. I think it's the terminology. You are confused. Some of you are looking for dictionaries because we were challenged. But just admit that it was a highfalutin discussion and ask your neighbor to simplify it for you. Don't open another conference. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing very swiftly. You are well behaved, but I think we're getting a bit excited. So may I ask that you return to being well behaved? At least you see my advocate side. I don't think that's too nice. We're about to commence with our energy sector skills development panel discussion. This is very, very, very important. And I see your hand. I assume it's a question for me. So I will take that question, maybe in our private capacity, because I might not be qualified to answer it on this podium. That's very nice English. Okay, may I please invite our following panelists? We only have about 20 or rather 15 minutes to facilitate this. Without further ado, I'll call Eslin Koopman from Astron Energy. I'll then call Almond Koza, who's the, you know, I'm so glad I didn't say agenda because I was worried. Eslin, thank you very much. We'll call Almond Koza, who's the President and Chief Operations Officer of Lamor Solar. Almond, welcome. We'll also then call Dmitry Shonikov, who is the CEO of Rosatom, Central and Southern Africa. Dmitry, please join us. We'll also call Ms. Mpho Mokgapela from EWCTA. She is the acting CEO. Can she kindly join us on the panel? Ladies and gentlemen, as you wait, please give them a round of applause. For me, this is a very strategic panel discussion, and I think the contents of energy, oil, and gas tend to be avoided or handled by industry experts and leaders. And I think as ordinary South Africans and Africans at large, it really is a discussion or a sector that affects us. Oil and gas's net asset value currently stands at 800 billion rands. My worry about such a figure is how many industry players are 1, women, 2, youth, 3, the disabled, and 4, black. We don't have stats that represent those players in the industry. You've got your NAWASA, which is an energy association that looks at gathering SMMEs who are in the energy sector, oil and gas as well, assisting them in terms of their value chains and helping them access clients, but it's still a struggle. It's still a very difficult struggle. There is only 1 woman in the continent that owns a petroleum storage. 1 woman. So this, for me, is a very, very exciting panel discussion. And without the fear of contradiction, I will be also engaging and asking you as well to really dig deep within yourself and ask necessary questions. The gas that was discovered by Total, you know, how many players are we going to have benefiting from that in the rural areas? And in fact, it wasn't even Total that discovered it. It was the community leaders and a particular constituency, but they won't even be benefiting from it. So how do we then ensure that there are referendums that will ensure people participate effectively and efficiently in the industry? So to the panel, welcome. I'm so sorry about that. I'm very passionate about this sector, so I'm hoping that you will answer some of these questions. So what we'll do, we'll start with you, Ms. Eslin. Maybe you can just give us a brief introduction about Astron Energy and also just your contribution to this discussion, and then we'll start rolling out with the questions.
Okay, thanks very much for that introduction. It's a great honor to represent Astron Energy in this esteemed panel, as well as to everyone in the audience. It just gladdens my heart to actually see that we can have that skills development discussion, because it's so key to us as Astron. Our people is our main asset, our human capital, and we are an employer, so we'd like to be in partnership with our skills development community. So thank you very much for that. Astron Energy, you may not have heard the name before, but we've actually been operating under another name for the last 100 years in South Africa. So the 850 Caltex garages are supplied by Astron Energy, who makes petroleum products. So we use crude oil as our raw material, and we actually then make jet fuel, diesel, gasolines, and LPG for the markets. In terms of skills development, we are very strategically partnered with many sectors. We're looking at grassroots level at schools, universities, and as well as across the country. So I can go through a few of those. But what I'd really like us to really understand is also, as an employer, we realize that people come into industry with a lot of book knowledge and information. And we'd like to, ensure that we can address that throughout stages of education to get them to actually being a contributing member of the industry. And in that sense, how do we come together at those critical developmental stages where we can guide from school level right up until university, so that we're ready for industry and for tackling the challenges presented by innovation, new technological advancements in an industry that's effectively hundreds of years old. So not many innovations have come through, the refinery being almost 100 years. It's a challenge that we need to overcome, and we want to partner with as many of the skills development sector as we can.
Sure.
All right, maybe I
Yeah, sure, Eslin.
All right, so I'd like to share maybe a few of those, social investment, education workforce where we are busy. So we do have a learning and development program. We have a graduate program in which started in 2012 already. And it's got a 90% absorption rate. We've had about 130 graduates that's passed through the program. The refinery is based in Cape Town, so the refinery supplies most of the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape with products. But we're also looking further afield. We've got in-service training programs as well that's running, apprenticeships. So every year the refinery has a shutdown in which we're looking for semi-skilled and guys that are trained as artisans, so that we can actually empower the country as a whole to make those artisans available. We mostly utilize them when we have in our shutdowns. We also have learnership programs with CETA, especially in those disciplines which are non-artisan related, and also with looking at administrative skills. We also have vacation work, which we would encourage universities to actually use that opportunity for the guys to get their experiential training, which is really part of what they need for graduation. In terms of grassroots, we've got the Center for Advancements of Science and Mathematics Education, which is in Durban. In Cape Town, we've partnered for the Cape Town Science Centre, and as well as in our community, the Dunoon community, we've built a library as well as a computer centre. Also the STEM Academy, teaching robotics and coding to disadvantaged communities. As we spoke about in our previous panel discussion, innovation is key. And we want to see where we can apply that in an advanced refinery like we have in Cape Town.
Sure.
Primary science programs in which we're actually training maths and science teachers, ensuring that they are able to take that through to their learners. Partners for Possibility, it's a program where we actually look at principals of about 20 schools to lead change and mobilize their communities. Okay. So, yeah,
thank you.
Exciting. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Aslan, for that. Thank you very much. Mpho?
Thank you. My name is Mpho. Thank you very much for having me here. And from Energy and Water SETA, you mentioned you need women who are young, black, and disabled. I'm technologically disabled, so I'll probably qualify
Wow.
in those areas. But I come from the SETA space, and I represent, I'm going to say I represent government. The reality, we are not experts in energy, we are not experts in water, but our responsibility is to ensure that there is skills development within South Africa. One of the biggest questions, I've been listening, there's statistics that are coming out, 300,000 graduates that are seeking employment. We've got people who've gone through learnerships after learnership, even repeat learnerships just to stay in the system, who are not being employed. The question is, where are we going wrong? For as long as we keep training, and I'm not very liked when I talk to service providers and I say, it's nice when you get big numbers to train, but what for? It's nice to get a big SETA project where you're training 500 learners to go through artisanship, but industry doesn't require 5,000. So what do you want to do with them? And I'm not saying let's not train. The reality is that there must be something that is wrong within the system. And when we've looked at it, and it's really planning, skills planning, are we getting our planning right as a country? The government will tell us targets, we will, as SETAs, we will accept the targets, and we churn out and we achieve. You look at our strat plans and our reports, we are achieving. But what is happening when it comes to skills development in South Africa? We're going nowhere slowly. I come from the finance background, and a couple of years ago when I was young,
How? Please don't insult us, Mpho. Mpho, don't insult us, okay?
Couple of years ago, I was driving out from a client, and I stopped at a traffic light, and a small boy was asking for something, and I'm not a fan of giving money. So I said, I don't have, and I looked away, and he smashed my window. And I got home, and I really thought about it, and I said, if this young boy is given an opportunity to, at that time I said, is educated and is able to get a job, it doesn't change only his life, but his brother's lives, his mother's life, his children's life, and it changes the community's life. But when I got into the education space, I realized that we're giving him education, but after education, he goes back to the streets more frustrated. And that's what we are doing. We're frustrating, we're actually feeding into a pipe that is going to burst.
Sure.
We like to talk about a pipeline, but I think it's getting full and it's gonna burst on our face. Free education is coming, has come. If we have 300,000 that is unemployed, after the next 3 years after free education, how many numbers are we going to have? And the reality, for me, the issue is planning. There is great intentions from the government. From a SETA perspective, we are created, and maybe the SETAs are realizing the role they should be playing. Our role is not to put people in class and let them leave. And we are realizing that maybe it's late, but we are realizing it. But the role we're supposed to be playing is to facilitate the conversations between training institution and industry. Without industry, our planning is skewed. And that's what we're working on right now. I was asking Astron outside, I said, who Who do you submit your skills planning and projections to? And I said, as an energy sector, I don't have your skills planning, so who's responding to it? So we've got this skewed planning process, and what is resulting in is that we're spending money in research as CETAs. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be spending so much money in research when we've got employers who know. And one of the greatest reasons is that employers are refusing to take big numbers to train because they don't know what to do with those big numbers. But training providers are taking them. So when the employer says, I need 10, why are you training 1,000? So for me, from a skills development perspective, is that let's get together and just plan. What is the plan? And the reality, if the government doesn't have a plan, how does the industry respond? So government, whoever's from government here, including me, let's define what is the energy plan for the country, what is the growth plan for the country, and let industry assist us. Let industry assist, inform the plans so that we can respond to the skills needs. So that's only for me. I'm saying skills development is not training. Quality of what comes out and relevance of what comes out post-training is what matters. Thank you.
Powerful. Power, power, power. Thank you very much, Mpo, for that. We'll then go to Almond Khoza.
Thanks very much. Firstly, I'd like to thank you for calling my name properly, Elmond, not Almond.
You. Such pressure.
Otherwise, I'll be a nutcase, right? We are actually very excited to be invited to this discussion. As a company run by both black and youthful guys, which started basically to solve problems, solve the electricity problems, and we're employing solar systems to do that. So Lamo Solar is a renewables energy firm with a focus on solar photovoltaic technology. We deploy our systems on commercial and industrial rooftops. We are very excited because at this particular moment, when this discussion is happening, we are installing solar rooftop solutions on 5 buildings here at CSIR. And for us, it's very encouraging to see that industry is opening up to both black and youth entrepreneurs to come up with innovation and solutions for the country. I'd like to say that, like the Stone Age, the fossil fuel industry is not going to stop because we're going to run out of fossil fuels. It will stop because there are better ways of doing things. That's one. We are in the 4th industrial revolution, and automation is upon us. Therefore, let's embrace automation. The Japanese say that it's actually inhuman to expect that which can be done by a machine to be done by a human. So we need to embrace the 4th industrial revolution. And us as a company, Lamo Solar, in the rooftop photovoltaic space, would like to encourage that. So I'd like to step back a bit about where we have been and where we are at the moment. Like, we're already on the 4th industrial revolution. One can ask, what happened in the first 3? If you can remember in the 1st industrial revolution, some of you are young, you wouldn't remember.
Jeez, there are so many insults on this panel, eh? Some are saying they are young, but they are old. Some are saying they are old, but they are young.
But I remember very well. This happened in England, and one can ask himself, how does a country like England be pushing something so vital, something so important? I think if you have been to England, and you have been in one of the pubs especially, you'd really doubt that these people can actually push an industrial revolution. But it was because at the time they mastered the science, the Newton's law of motion, Newton's gravitational laws, and the thermodynamics laws. And that allowed them to come up with steam engines. And I'll fast forward to the second industrial revolution, which mainly happened in the United States. And what fueled that was actually the realization that if you put a magnet, I mean, Faraday and Maxwell, I'm sure they were playing around with magnets and cables. Realize that if you put a magnet and you have a conductor and you start moving the conductor, actually electricity gets induced in that particular conductor. And that helped us in coming up with motors, refrigeration, and so on and so forth. Fast forward to the third one. In the third industrial revolution, people realized that there's this material called silicon. And they actually behaved differently under different circumstances when you put electricity or conduct electricity through them.
Sure.
And there was a group which took that and they put silicon or transistors together. And when you put a lot of transistors together, you come up with a computer. And that has fueled the third industrial revolution. Now we are in the fourth, AI, artificial intelligence. We talk about blockchain. We talk about digitization. So this actually tells you that for you to skill a worker for today or an employee of today or an entrepreneur for that matter, you need different skills. You can't have the same kind of skills which were used 10, 15, 30 years ago. An engineer of today must be multidisciplinary, must understand his history, his sociology. He must also understand different languages because these machines are supposed to understand all types of languages. So we are saying that the beginning of leisure, it's the end of labor. And we are very close to that. And in ending, I would like to, there are a few guys in the audience who came through a program we partnered with CETA on. We are training 40 graduates in the installation, design, and maintenance of solar system. And of the 40 guys, we're able to employ 10 actually as a service provider. And of the 10 that are here, they're actually doing a commercial installation here at the CSIR of 1 megawatt.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Koza. Thank you. We'll now go to Dimitri. Mr. Dimitri.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dimitri Shornikov. I'm from Rosatom Central and Southern Africa, which is an African arm of Rosatom State Nuclear Energy Corporation of Russia. Before I proceed, I would just like to say a big thanks to the previous panelists who were speaking with such a passion about all the latest technologies, such as IE, VR, AR. So they really gave me a nudge that I need to go and update myself with the latest developments, otherwise I feel outdated. This is absolutely awesome. And today it is my pleasure to give you a snapshot how awesome is nuclear industry in terms of job creation and skills development. Our own calculations show that one job created in a nuclear industry creates approximately 12 jobs in supportive industries. There is a research conducted in the United States by the Institute of Nuclear Energy, which says that on average, a nuclear power plant generates $40 million of employment income per annum. And just for comparison reasons, the United States nuclear power industry employs about 100,000 people in nuclear plants, as well as 470,000 people in supportive jobs. A construction of 1 gigawatt of nuclear power creates about 200,000 jobs, year employment jobs. And the life cycle of a nuclear power plant, from commissioning to decommissioning and handling the nuclear waste, creates about 50,000 jobs, which is, I think, amazing. What our company, what is the input of our company into skills development and employment creation? What makes us, first of all, what makes us the global leaders? First of all, it's our integrated offer. Before we even start constructing a nuclear power plant, we commit to creating all the skill set that is required to operate a nuclear power plant, which means that we train, we give bursaries to students in nuclear sciences, so that these students, the local students, can operate their local nuclear power plants. Currently, we have about 50 students from sub-Saharan Africa studying in Russian universities, studying nuclear sciences, and all these students will be employed. They have guaranteed employment in our nuclear facilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I have one question to each panel, which I'm then hoping will then filter to the audience. So please also get your questions ready. We're only here for the next at least 10 minutes before we go through to lunch. I'll begin with you, Ashton. I think Mpo posed quite a challenging assignment there, wanting to know about your energy. So what is your energy plan as Ashton Energy, and how does it serve socio-economic integration?
So I invite Mpo to come to our stand at 26 and 27. Sorry. So please come to our stand and we can discuss it, because we do have a plan. It is something that we've progressed every year. We work closely with CETA. So perhaps the right person wasn't there to answer your question. But we do partner in terms of engineering and operations staff. So a big part of the refinery business is the operations side. And that's where we are utilizing in-service trainees who get an opportunity to do on-the-job training and also do further skills development within that opportunity. So that plan is released every year. So I can assure you there is a plan.
Okay, I was just teasing. I just like teasing, because this panel is quite interesting. But maybe we can go to the second part, Aslan, around how does it help our social economic landscape? As in, how can your company serve the young person that's just matriculated, maybe from Limpopo, Northwest, really passionate about energy, but needs access? How do you guys facilitate that?
I think there's a lot of perception around what a refinery does.
Okay.
And there might be some negative press there as well. But what we try and dispel some of the myths around that, and especially at the refinery in Cape Town, we actually have tours that we actually present to school-going kids, to the community, our neighbors as well, where we try and debunk some of those misperceptions. And I think it's around making sure that it's accessible to people. People might think it's this big bubble. What is actually happening there? We speak around, we've got a laboratory. So there's chemists that work there on a full-time basis. We have an on-site fire station where we have trained paramedics. So it might not only be engineering that we're looking at.
Yeah.
We also have other industries. We've got a head office in Century City where we would have our HR professionals.
Sure.
And then a lubes plant in Durban. So there
Great.
is lots of aspects to Astron Energy, which is not just engineering or energy-based. It's a full company, a South African, proudly South African company, and we want to make sure that it is accessible to the learners out there, so that they understand that there is a future.
Okay. So I think later what I will ask in your closing statement for all the service providers in the skills industry that are here is what would Ashton Energy be looking to outsource in terms of the skills, and how can they access some of the services in the company. Okay, moving right along to Mpho, our old person. Mpho, I think I really would like for you to answer your own question. What do you think are the relevant skills needed in our country in the energy sector?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I tried to run away from that when I said, is it on?
Yes.
Is it on? Okay. To say, just skills development and not technical. But the answer to that is that the relevant skills in any sector, and maybe I'm in energy and water sector. In the energy space are the skills that are going to result increased access to energy.
Okay.
We've got people in South Africa who still don't have access to energy. When we are training people, what is the relevant set of skills that will result in increased access to energy? Skills that are going to ensure efficiency use of energy, affordable energy. We're talking about innovation. When we've educated a young person in the classroom, what is our expectation with regards to what they can do in our communities to ensure there's access? We've got a number of students in China doing switchgear manufacturing. I went to see them and they were on strike.
In China?
In China.
Wow.
So they were on they were on strike in China, and we sent them there because we wanted them to go get a skill set that will, and they're from villages, that will come and assist within the villages to design, to manufacture, because we've got even SMMEs and that we said we will co-ops that we will fund in the villages. And they went on strike because they failed to see what we are trying to, this independence of this, being able to contribute to economic growth. They failed to see that because they say we did not study certain things that the Chinese want us to do. Instead of saying we are being exposed to far beyond what we have learned in the classroom that I can take back and change my community. So skill set, those are the skill sets that we need to give our people, not 1 + 1 is 2. What can I do with a 1 and a 2 when I'm done with a 2? So the skill set that is required, really, I think we're doing well when it comes to the technicalities.
Okay.
I think we are covered there, but let's go beyond that and teach people to create new ventures, to create solutions.
Okay.
So that's the skill set. I don't know if that's a skill set in the energy space, but I think we need that skill set.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mpho. Okay, Mr. Almond Khoza, I loved how you dissected the benefits of the different revolutions that we have had. My question to you is Africa capable of creating its own revolution?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I mean, as you might know, the first 3 revolutions were not active participants, not even a single thing were done. If anything, the recent one, which had to do with transistors, there isn't one manufacturing firm in the whole of Africa which manufactures transistors.
Okay.
So can we create our own revolution? Definitely yes. But we actually don't even have to start by creating our own revolution. The 4th revolution is upon us, and it's there for the taking. As a company, firstly, the reason why we are in the energy space, we really and truly believe that the lack thereof electricity is the #1 barrier to socio-economic development, and I'll explain to you how. For you to get water to the point of consumption, you need electricity. For a school to run efficiently, you need electricity. For a hospital to run efficiently, you need electricity. To start up to have any startup, even if the simplest of things like welding, you need electricity. So we are at a point whereby we need skills and solutions which are modern. We need smart solutions. We need area-specific solutions. I mean, the stats are out there for consumption. I mean, in every 10 Africans, 7 do not have access to electricity. It's a staggering stat that is. So the skilling part of it all, that's what makes sense, and that's the missing point at the moment. Skilling firstly in the most primitive things. I mean, the solar space, there's nothing difficult about it. It's not rocket science. And that's why it was easy for us to take on 40 students that we trained in the design, installation, and maintenance of solar solutions. And 10 of them are currently employed with us because it's not difficult. But you need more and more private companies to have that social impact. Everyone is talking about innovation. What is innovation? Innovation is an invention which has a social impact. That's how I explain it. If you come with some nice thing which does nice things, but it's not impacting the society, then it's as good as that. It's just an invention. You can go play around with that. But through innovation, we must have great impact. And as entrepreneurs, we are in the space to help. We are here to help. One of the big banks, they keep on asking, how can we help you? But that's the motto of entrepreneurs. If you're not there to help society, then I suppose you're not an entrepreneur.
We're not. We are just doing nice things that can do nice things.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Just
for
nice.
That. Just nice. Okay, Mr. Dimitri Shonikov, I have a particular interest with nuclear proliferation and nuclear energy, because when you speak nuclear in Africa, you got to tread carefully, especially in South Africa as well. So my question to you, just under general, is what are the nuclear projects that the company, Rosatom Central and Southern Africa, is busy with, that we could say are really impacting the continent, creating awareness, creating knowledge about nuclear in the country and continent as well?
Thank you very much for this very good question. We at Rosatom, as a company, we're involved in anything related to nuclear, from building, running, commissioning, decommissioning nuclear power plants, to nuclear medicine, to nuclear technologies in agriculture, to isotope production, to material studies, and many more significant things. In Africa, at the moment, our flagship project is in Zambia. In Zambia, we are busy constructing Science for Nuclear Center for Nuclear Science and Technology. This is a research, both commercial and research facility, with a research reactor at the heart of this facility. Research reactor is a reactor that does not produce electricity. However, it produces isotopes that are used for diagnostics and treatment of oncological and cardiovascular diseases, for irradiation of agricultural products, which significantly extends the shelf life of these products, for sterilization of medical equipment, and many other things. We are also at a very advanced stage of negotiations with Rwanda. Rwanda is also on the path of creating a Science for Nuclear Science and Technology. And both these countries, they have a nuclear power plant in the pipeline. For Zambia, it's our flagship nuclear power plant with based on our VVER 1200 reactor. And for Rwanda, it's a nuclear power plant based on a small modular reactor.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, we'll now open the floor to, we'll open, yeah, you get what you get what I meant. We'll have questions. Okay, I recognize you, sir. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? So what you'll do, please, is on your desk there is a mic. You just switch it on. Once you're done, please switch it off. Please kindly note that we are not looking for a speech, but we are looking for a question with a question mark. So please keep it short. Thank you very much. So we'll start with number one.
Morning, was it afternoon? Just want to find out, what does nuclear mean for small businesses like Solar there? Because it kind of sounds like the big gun is actually going to run the market and kill off the small guy.
Okay, so are you directing your question to the entire panel or Mr. Dimitri?
Dimitri
And Elmond, okay. Did you hear the question? I slightly didn't. Can you please just speak closer to the mic?
What does nuclear mean for
Small businesses?
Because it kind of sounds like the nuclear guy is actually going to kill off the small guy.
Wow, okay. All right. So what does the nuclear mean for SMMEs? What does the nuclear mean for SMMEs, like small businesses, small to medium enterprises on the ground? Because the young man there was worried that the big guns, so in South Africa when we say big guns, we mean multinational corporations, will kill the small guns. By small guns, we mean small businesses. Okay, yeah, you can answer.
Kenneth, yeah. These small and medium enterprises are the ones to benefit from the construction of nuclear facilities. We as a company, we aim at the maximum possible localization, which means that the level of localization will be based on the level of development of local small and medium enterprises. In other words, whatever we can source out to local SMEs will be sourced out to local SMEs. According to our calculation, $1 spent on the construction of a nuclear facility, it returns as $4 added to the GDP. So you can calculate for yourself how much of this amount can go to small and medium enterprises.
You guys are nuclear and the other guy's solar, so I'm not getting it.
Okay, so I think Almond, maybe you can come in because you addressed the question to both, if I'm correct. Okay, Almond?
Okay, no, yeah, now that I'm called small,
You're a small gun.
a small guy, and I'll have the smallest answer as well. I think you have asked a very important question, but I should say, I spoke about the fossil fuel industry, that it's not going to end as a result of us running out of fossil fuels, but as a result of innovation and new ways of doing things. And as a young company, not small rather, I said it's about solving problems. And if you go out there and you find a problem which is worth solving, it doesn't matter how big the competition is. I see them as my competitors, but I also understand that we have an integrated energy plan or resource plan in South Africa, which talks about the energy mix. And it's very important, it's pertinent that although I'm in the renewable energy space, to also know and understand other industries like the nuclear industry. The reason why coal today and nuclear, so to say, are important into our grid is because of the base load they provide, which with solar or other renewable sources you cannot find. But with that said, solar still remains the future if we are able to solve the problems for base load and so on and so forth. So it's not about being small or big. There are both advantages and disadvantages of being at either end. I can tell you today, as an SME, we are more flexible, if anything, than any big company which is in the space. And those are some of the advantages you should look at as an SME. Don't look at how much money one has as a company, but you must look at the advantages in terms of how gullible and how flexible your company can be in providing even a better service, so to say. I can say to any big company in the space that we are in, we definitely provide our clients a better service compared to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Leave the guns out, my brother, because guns kill. They just shoot. Yeah. Let's just use MNCs and SMMEs. Okay, question 2. Question 2 was right about this side. Yes.
Okay, my name is Kagiso Khoman from an organization called For the Youth by the Youth. Then my question is based on the first speaker, Astran Energy.
Okay.
Astron
Energy, sure.
Yes. Like you always mentioned universities, so I'd like to check what are the opportunities for those who are from the TVET colleges?
Interesting question. Okay.
Thank you for that question.
Can you switch on your mic? Okay, he's sitting right there.
The mic.
Okay. Please switch on your mic, Aslan. Thank you.
Thanks for that question. So I have mentioned universities, but I also spoke about in-service trainees, and that's looking at the colleges, especially the institutions of higher learning technology colleges. So we do have an in-service program. So both universities and the colleges need experiential, the practical training. So we do have a program that started in, I think it was 2012. It's been running, actually it's been running for 15 years, so 2004. So we do have that as well.
Okay.
Something further to the question?
Are you answered, sir? Please switch on the mic, sir. And I see you like rapping. See the rap star. Just switch on the mic. Yes, sir.
Yes, like I have a database of students who have completed their qualifications and they are sitting at home without any in-service training. So how am I able to assess the opportunities that you are talking about?
We'll need to approach let's approach the stand at 26 and 27.
Right.
I think we can look at that specifics of your students.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So all the panelists do have stands at the exhibition section. So during our lunchtime, you are all free to go that side. Okay, question number 3. Number 3, I'm not too sure.
Hi.
Okay, you were this
I'm
side?
here.
Oh, right. Hi, my friend.
Hi. So you don't have to worry about catching me at the end because I'll pose the question to the panel now.
Oh, perfect. I'm so happy.
Right. My name is Kay. I'm from the Bureau of Standards. Firstly, thank you. You make an awesome MC and Master of Ceremonies. You're doing a brilliant job, so thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
I'm not sure who in the panel would be able to answer this. We're discussing quite a few initiatives, quite a few issues that are tabled over the course of this morning. The main thing is bringing about synergy between education, government, and industry.
Sure.
To summarize what I'm hearing here, we have these, and I do agree with panelists there in terms of the fact that training does not beget capacity building. We have a difference in balance between capacitation and input or offtake in industry. And then we've got this thing that we keep talking about today called the 4th Industrial Revolution, but I'm not sure how much of what we've done in our country has quantified the percentage of our economy that's actually even reached the 3rd revolution yet.
Sure.
So while one of the speakers said, we keep training and resulting in this frustrated economy that we keep sending back, need begets action. And we want to bring about electricity in the rural areas, and yet the need for food and for survival leads them to be stealing the cables and that and everything else. We're going to end up, my issue here, and the question that I have, is we're going to end up trying to build capacity, but we're not formulating a way to retain that capacity in our country. So who is formulating a mechanism of making sure that the capacity, the skills, the innovation that we're trying to develop within South Africa stays in South Africa and doesn't leave us to go cross-border, so that the Americas and the Germans or Germanys of this world benefit from the very, very clever minds we have in this country.
Sure, that's quite
That's
a
my
brilliant question.
first part of the question. The second part.
There's more, all right.
There's more. The second part of the question is, are we formulating and developing a mechanism where the capacity building becomes more meaningful within our economy, in the sense that we're building community solutions that will be able to speak, so the capacitation we develop will be able to speak to the need that will then preserve entrepreneurship and innovation rather than kill it before it even begins.
Sure, thank you for that. Anyone on the panel? Mpo, I think, no. I felt you, sister. Answer it, please.
Thank you very much for that question. It's the question that when we're sitting, not me, when we are sitting in Parliament, these are the things we should be yearning to address. You know, that is the ultimate impact that we want to have within South Africa. And I'm going to go back to what I had said, that planning is if we fail to plan, English says, England is not my country, so English is bad. If we fail to plan, what do we do?
If we fail to plan, we plan to fail.
We plan to fail, yes. So if we don't plan properly, we're never going to achieve all these things. And the reality is that it's sad, because a whole lot of us here are doing something. We're all busy doing something, but it's so fragmented. It's in different places, and it's not achieving one thing. The money is now, the funds are divided. The SETA has its funds, the employer has its funds, DBSA has its funds, Astron has its funds, doing their own thing, we're doing our own thing, and we don't get to see the impact. So if we all get to the same table and say, what is the plan when it comes to growth in South Africa? What role is energy going to play? And what is growth? That inclusive growth, where it's not only in the inner city, but it's affecting our community. So I don't have an answer for you, ma'am, but all I'm going to say, I call out to industry. Honestly, I'm going to call out to industry. Can we come to the table when we're doing skills planning for South Africa? I've got a list of, you asked me a question, what are the critical skills that are required in the energy space? I've got an embarrassing list here that, because the Department of Higher Education says, EWCETA, get information from employers and bring to me top 10 critical skills list in the energy space. Out of the 800 levy payers in the energy space we have, only 20% responds to that call. And this is what we end up with. Top 10 critical skills list: electrical engineer, engineer manager, civil engineer, program or project manager. And this is because we don't have the right people participating at planning, skills planning. And do you know what we do? I take this, it's tabled, it's approved as our strategy, and this is what we implement for 5 years. Because we don't have the right people, and that's why I always stress that it's find, as an employer, be at the right place when it comes to skills development. Inform the right platforms. I said to the minister, we've got different companies that are sitting in the wrong seaters, and their information they're submitting is not being used for skills planning because it's not critical. So for me, we talk about collaboration. Can we come to the table and the right tables and give the right information? That will improve our planning.
Well, you're going to see me at your desk very soon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. That was... we're about to close. I know this question number 4. Is anyone on the panel willing to contribute to the question / statement? Okay, Mpo covered you, huh? She covered you, yes. Thank you very much. Question number 4, yes, sir.
Thank you, Tabam. My name is Leseho Dau from Touch Motive. I'm a skills development facilitator, particularly dealing with skills auditing. My deposit is on 2 proposals that I want to put on the table. particularly to Hagai and the graduates cooperative. I think I need to applaud the call that was made by His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa when he said we need to eliminate the work experience in state institutions and some of the institutions that they partnered with. Now, I'm an affiliate of the Skills Portal, and on Wednesday they posted that there are 12,300 jobs available currently in SA in the skills sector. And I'm trying to equate what I'm hearing since the morning I came here to what we are finding on the tables to say, does the mathematics then make sense? My deposit is to say, this means industry is not consuming enough graduates, of course, as a result of worry of productivity and workplace error. I do understand that. However, if you look into industry, there's a high volume of personnel that qualify to go on early pension, and most of them, they are in high positions, and they qualify to go on pension. My proposals, the first one, particularly to Hagai, generate an association perhaps that says retired industry advisors. This will be a group of retired personnel that will group themselves, perhaps be, what's the right word to use, subsidized by the state, because most of them, they have the fear of losing income, but they understand that they'll be getting their pension fund, but they have the fear of losing the amounts that they were getting paid in industry. So let them then step down. I'm responding to the 12,300 jobs. Let the seasoned individuals or personnel create some sort of formation where they can then advise the government and these graduates that are consumed. That's my first proposal. Hagai, have that as a project running. You can just retire and come to us, we'll consume you as an advisor. That's the first proposal, to advise the graduates that are coming in, because industry has a worry to say they don't know how to write reports or do whatever they want them to do at a particular speed. Step down, go to the advisors retirement
And number
association.
two?
Number two, we're speaking technicalities here. Another proposition is for the tech guys that were here to then generate a system that will remind the state and industry, when they consume you in the employment fraternity, then you need to be reminded through a system that says you are getting closer into pension, as well as industry. You are getting closer into being into pension.
Yeah.
So this will remind you that you need to then create more opportunities so that the 12,300 people or graduates can also be consumed.
Okay.
So I'm saying the propositions is for people that are seasoned, not to worry themselves.
Okay.
They just need to come in as advisors.
Right.
Yep.
Wow, Dao, that's so radical. But thank you so much for that. I think it's noted. I think it's noted. So it was more of a proposition than a question, but I do believe that our panels will give it some thought. I'm going to take the last question so that we can go to lunch and come back. Maybe two. So I note you, ma'am, right there at the back at the corner and right here, and then we will close the session. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear? Cool. So I'm Robin Whittaker from Symphonia for South Africa, and just wanted to say, in answer to the last gentleman's comment, that those initiatives are in existence, and in fact they're thriving and doing very well. I think that it's not around not having the initiatives. We have National Mentorship Movement, 50 Plus Skills, Refinement Network, hundreds and hundreds of people willing and able and wanting to give of their skills and resources and knowledge. What we are lacking is a convening forum to have the discussions about how we link up with each other. And my question is, who on the panel or who else is willing to convene that discussion? And it's not a conference, it's a working discussion group in order to bring these things together so that we really move forward, because there's lots happening, just not coordinated.
Absolutely. You're right. A lot happening, but no impact that is tangible and felt within our economy. I think that's a brilliant proposition. please be strategic when asking for business cards. Because some of us, you use business cards as toothpicks when you can't find one. Sometimes you use it, I don't know for what. So if you're going to request a business card or even submit yours to either panelists or former speakers, please can you be strategic? Now in this day and age, we can't afford to be on some, no, so I'm associated to the acting CEO of CETA, you know, that whole make me look good and you're posing, taking selfies. Whilst you're taking selfies, people are creating and making things in the world. So let us be strategic on that note. I know the toothpick situation because I used to do it, but that's okay. So we'll take the last question right here.
Hi, I think I got covered by the lady, but I'll just add on that part of the things that we are missing in this brilliant discussion is the basic education. Because we need to go back to ECD.
Sure.
Let's probably try and look at how can we make these kids start doing project-based type of training. Let's start from their environment. What is it that they can do to bring solutions so that one day they will understand how to become innovators that will be mentioned accordingly? Thank you.
Sure. So Mpo, I think already you've got a task team in this room. You've got industry, you've got service providers that are willing to launch that discussion. So yeah, perhaps we can also get your details. And the question that you're asking, let's see how we generate the answers together as well. All right, can I have the closing remarks from all the panelists? And maybe you can also answer to the last 3 questions, including the one with the senior citizens and affiliation. My ears started itching there, but please, let me hear from you guys. So we'll start with you, Aslan. Just your final remarks.
Thanks very much.
Okay, can switch on your mic.
Thank you all for the questions. Just in closing, I'd just like to express again how valuable this session is to be sitting with government, to be sitting with industry, and also with skills development. And you know, it's in everyone's best interest to actually get together and to formalize these programs. So you know, we look forward to further interactions that way.
Sure.
As far as your comment on basic education, so you know that's close to our hearts as well at Astron Energy. So we do have some initiatives. We're trying to target teachers, learners, and principals to actually get them to understand and actually develop that love for maths and science, which really fosters that education towards where we can utilize guys in industry specific, such as petroleum. So thank you very much, and I appreciate this opportunity to discuss Astron Energy and invite you all to make a turn at our stand 26 and 27. Now I'm punting it, but you know there's so much we want to share and discuss.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution, Aslan. That was Aslan. Can we please give a round of applause? Quickly. Mpo?
My just few words is, together we can. It's borrowed, but the reality of today is that together, when we all come to the table, we can make South Africa a better working country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Mpo, acting CEO of EW CETA. Okay, Almond Koza?
From Lamo Solar, we would like to thank everyone who was here, and especially those in the entrepreneurial space. And would like to say that labor is for machines, and we're looking for more brains, for more human beings to be in this space. Therefore, the skills of today have nothing to do with how strong you are, but actually how emotional intelligent you are, how critical a thinker you are, and so on and so forth. So to the entrepreneurs and all the other guys who are looking to make a change in the South African space, we say, according to Steve Jobs, here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. You see, they are not fond of rules and they do not respect the status quo. You can quote them, you can disagree them, glorify or vilify them. Just about the only thing you cannot do, though, is to ignore them, because these are the people who change things. They move the human race forward. While some look at them and see the crazy ones, we see genius, because those who are crazy enough to think they can change things are actually the ones that do. Thank you.
Mr. Elman Kozai certainly might say that you cannot be ignored. I'm not sure about the misfit and the crazy ones, but since you told us you are crazy, we'll take it. But thank you so much. Final remarks from you, Mr. Dimitri Shonikov.
Thank you. Well, as Eamon said, solar is the future of energy. Let me say that nuclear is the future of baseload. And I would like to conclude by saying that in our company, we strive to inspire the youth, the African youth. First of all, by running competitions, running public awareness events, we try to popularize nuclear. We try to make the youth and all the people aware of the benefits that nuclear bring to every family, to every country. So if anybody got inspired, or if anyone wants to get inspired, please visit our website, please visit our Facebook page. Lots of competitions, lots of things to be inspired by. Please get in touch. If you're keen to be educated in nuclear sciences, please also get in touch. We will guide you how to do that. And my dream is to see many, many more nuclear scientists, nuclear engineers coming from Africa.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Give it up for our panel. Right.